Nobody tells you that feeling lost can look completely normal from the outside. That you can wake up, make your coffee, answer your messages, laugh at something, go to sleep, and still feel underneath all of it, like you have absolutely no idea what you're doing with your life. Nobody tells you that. And because nobody tells you, you think it's just you. It's late. Or maybe it's not late, maybe it's early afternoon and you're sitting somewhere quiet and the world is going on outside and you just feel separate from it, like there's glass between you and everything. You can see it all moving, you just can't feel it. That's where this starts, not with a crisis, not with anything dramatic, just with that quiet, persistent feeling of being slightly out of step with everything around you. And the hard part is that you can't explain it to people. Because when you try, it sounds like you're complaining, or like you're ungrateful, or like you need to just try harder, think more positively, make a plan. And the people who say those things mean well. They genuinely do, but they're talking to the surface of the problem. They haven't gone down to where it actually lives. Where it actually lives is somewhere much quieter and much harder to reach. Here's the thing about feeling lost that I keep coming back to. It's not that you don't know where you are. You know exactly where you are. You can see your life clearly, the job, the apartment, the routine, the people. You know all of it. The lostness isn't about not knowing your location. It's about not knowing if the location means anything. It's that low, steady hum of a question you can never quite silence. Is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this who I'm supposed to be? And the question doesn't come with panic. That's what's strange. It just comes with this flatness. This sense that something important is missing but you can't name it, and you've been circling it for so long that you've started to wonder if numbing it is even possible. I think about the version of myself I imagined at 22 or 25. Whatever age you were when you still had that uncomplicated certainty about the future. You didn't have a fully detailed plan, but you had a feeling, a sense of direction. This quiet confidence that by now, by whatever age you are right now, you'd have more figured out, more settled, more certain about who you were and where you were going. And you look up and it's now. And some of it worked out, and some of it didn't, and a lot of it just became something you couldn't have predicted, neither better nor worse, just different. Just real life, which is always stranger and more complicated and more ambiguous than the version you imagined. And you're still here, still trying to understand yourself, still not done. There's a grief in that, a small, quiet grief that most people never talk about. Not grief for a specific loss, just grief for the simpler version of the future you once believed in. The comparison thing starts early. It doesn't announce itself. It's subtle. You're scrolling or you're talking to someone you went to school with, or you overhear a conversation and something in your chest just tightens, almost imperceptibly. And then, without deciding to, you start doing the math. They're doing this. They have that. They figured out the thing you're still figuring out. And intellectually, you genuinely know that it's not a race. That people's lives don't run on the same schedule. That what you're seeing is a highlight, a surface, a fraction of someone else's reality. You know all of that. And it doesn't help. Because the comparison isn't really about them. It was never about them. It's about the part of you that's afraid you're running out of time. That's afraid you already missed something. That's scanning other people's lives the way you scan for exits in a room you don't feel safe in. Automatically, anxiously, not even fully aware you're doing it. Why does it feel like everyone else is moving forward except me? That thought, that exact thought, I know you've had it. Not because I'm guessing, because it's one of those thoughts so universal and so private that almost everyone has it and almost nobody admits it out loud. And then there's the exhaustion. Not the kind you can sleep off. Not the kind that a vacation fixes, though sometimes you convince yourself it will. This is something older and more lodged, a bone-level tiredness that seems to have accumulated from years of effort that didn't land quite where you aimed it. from trying things that didn't work, from being hopeful and then adjusting, from being hopeful again and then adjusting again, from performing okay when you're not fully okay. That performance is exhausting in a way that's hard to account for, because it doesn't look like effort. You're just living your life. You're just getting through the days. But there's a version of you running constantly in the background, managing how you seem, managing what you say and don't say, managing the gap between what you feel and what you're willing to show, and that version of you never gets a day off. And at some point, the gap between who you are in the room and who you are alone at night, with rain on the window, that gap starts to feel very wide. Can I say something that might sound strange? I think sometimes the feeling of being lost is not a problem to solve. I think sometimes it's a signal, not a clear signal, nothing like a sign with an arrow pointing in a direction, more like a pressure, a persistent, low-grade pressure that something doesn't fit anymore, that you've changed or you're changing and some part of your life hasn't caught up yet. And that's disorienting because you didn't choose to change, or maybe you did gradually without noticing. But either way, you wake up and the version of yourself that used to make sense in the life you built doesn't quite fit the way it used to. Like a key that still goes into the lock, but doesn't turn cleanly anymore. And you keep trying the key. Of course you do, because you built this, because it made sense once, because starting over or changing direction or even just admitting that something doesn't fit, that's terrifying. That's a loss. Even if what you're losing wasn't making you happy, losing it still hurts. Nobody tells you that growing can feel like grief. Here's a question I've sat with for a long time. How much of what you want is actually yours? Not in a dramatic, philosophical way, just practically. When you imagine the life you're supposed to be living, when you feel behind because you haven't reached it yet, have you ever stopped to ask where that picture came from? Because some of it is yours. Genuinely, originally, privately yours, things you've wanted since you were a child. Things that still light something up in you when you get close to them. Things that feel true in a way that has nothing to do with what anyone else thinks. But some of it was handed to you. Some of it came from a family that had a certain idea of what success looks like. From a culture that equates a specific kind of achievement with a specific kind of worth. From watching people you admired and absorbing without realizing it, what they seemed to value. And those things got mixed together, your real wants and the inherited ones. And now they're so tangled that you can't always tell them apart. You can't always tell if you want the thing or if you want it because someone important once told you it mattered. That untangling is slow work. It's quiet work. It doesn't have a finish line, but I think it might be some of the most important work a person can do. There are moments, I think everyone has them, where you catch a glimpse of yourself as you actually are. Not as you're trying to be, not as you appear to other people, just you stripped of context in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. And sometimes what you see is someone who is genuinely trying. Someone who has been trying for years, quietly, without much fanfare. Someone who gets up and tries again even when the last try didn't go anywhere. Someone who is more resilient than they give themselves credit for, and more confused than they let anyone see. You are further along than you feel. I really believe that. Not as a comfort, I'm not saying it to make you feel better. I'm saying it because I think it's true in a literal, practical sense. The years where you felt the least progress are often the years where the most invisible work was happening. The recalibration, the identity shift, the slow, unglamorous process of becoming more honest with yourself about what you actually want and what you're willing to let go of. That work doesn't show up on a resume. It doesn't make for a compelling update when someone asks how you're doing. But it is real, and it matters, and it changes everything downstream, even if you can't see that from where you're standing right now. I want to talk about time for a second, because I think it's one of the things that makes all of this so much harder. We live in a culture that is obsessed with speed, not just productivity, speed. how fast you achieved something, how young you were when you figured it out, how early you started. And if you didn't hit certain markers by certain ages, if you didn't have the relationship or the career or the house or the whatever, then something has gone wrong. You're behind. You're late. Late for what? Nobody can really answer that, but the feeling is real. And it does something subtle and corrosive to how you experience your own life. It makes you rush through the present trying to catch up with some imaginary schedule. It makes you feel like your current chapter isn't valid because it isn't the chapter you're supposed to be in. It makes you hold yourself against a timeline that someone else invented and you never actually agreed to. Some of the most complete people I know found their direction at 40, at 50, after failing completely at something they were sure was meant for them, after starting over with less than they had before. The thing they built after all that, you wouldn't look at it and think, this happened late. You just think, this is real. The timeline is not the truth. But I also don't want to pretend it's easy to believe that. Because there are days, and maybe you're in one of those days right now, where the reassurances don't stick, where you know intellectually that comparison is unfair and timelines are arbitrary and progress takes time, and none of it touches the part of you that just feels the rawness of being stuck, of being uncertain, of being tired of not knowing. And on those days, I think the honest thing is not to reach for comfort, not to try to think your way out of it or motivate your way through it. I think on those days, the honest thing is just to let it be what it is. This is hard. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm tired. I'm not where I thought I'd be, and I don't have to pretend otherwise right now. That's not giving up. That's not failure. That's just the truth. And there's something quietly important about being willing to tell yourself the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it doesn't resolve into anything. Here's something that took me a long time to understand. Direction doesn't always come before movement. Sometimes it comes because of movement. Sometimes you take a step, not because you know it's the right step, not because you feel ready, not because you're certain, but just because standing still has become more painful than moving. And the step doesn't feel like a revelation. It doesn't feel like the beginning of a new chapter. It just feels like a step, awkward, uncertain, maybe slightly wrong, but in a direction. And then another, and then another. And somewhere down the road, not immediately, not in a way you can see while it's happening, those steps will have drawn a line. And you'll be able to look back at that line and see that it meant something. Even though when you were taking each individual step, you couldn't have told anyone where you were going. You don't have to know where you're going to start moving. I think that's one of the things nobody tells you because it sounds like bad advice. It sounds irresponsible. You're supposed to have a plan. You're supposed to know. But the waiting to know can stretch on forever. The certainty you're waiting for might not exist in the form you're imagining it. What exists is a step, just the one in front of you, not the whole staircase, just that one step. And maybe that's enough for tonight. Not for everything, not forever, just for tonight. You don't have to solve this tonight. You don't have to figure out what you're doing with your life in the next hour. You don't have to have an answer to the question of who you are and what you want and whether you're on the right path. You don't owe that to anyone, including yourself, right now. What you can do is just be here. In this room, in this night, with the rain, with whatever's going on inside you. You can let all of it be exactly what it is. The confusion, the tiredness, the doubt, the quiet grief, the small hope you haven't let yourself fully feel yet. You can let all of it exist without trying to fix it. Because here is the thing that I think might be the most important thing, and also the hardest thing to hold on to. The fact that you care this much about your direction, about your life, about whether it means something that is not nothing. That is not nothing at all. People who don't care don't lie awake wondering if they're doing it right. People who have stopped trying don't feel the ache of wanting more, wanting to be more, wanting to understand who they are. The very discomfort you're sitting with right now is a sign that something in you is still reaching, still alive to the possibility of something more honest, more aligned, more true. That's not a small thing. The rain doesn't stop because the night got too long. It doesn't hurry to be done. It just falls steadily without explanation, without destination. And things grow because of it, not immediately, not visibly, not in any way you can watch happen in real time. But the falling matters. Even the rain that falls in the dark, that no one sees, that doesn't feel like it's doing anything, it matters. You can be the rain right now, falling quietly in the dark, not landing anywhere obvious, not producing visible results, just moving, just present, just here. And something, somewhere, is being fed by that. Something in you is working even when you're not working. Something is shifting even when everything feels still. Something is being built in the quiet, below the surface, where you can't see it and nobody's watching. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not wasting your life by not having it figured out yet. You are a person in the middle of a life, in the middle of the long, uneven, surprising, occasionally beautiful work of figuring out who you are. And that work doesn't have a due date, and it doesn't look the same for any two people. And there is no version of it that is the right version. There is only yours, the one that's happening right now, the one that looks from certain angles like nothing, and is underneath everything. So stay with the rain a little longer. Don't rush to sleep. Don't reach for your phone. Don't try to think your way somewhere useful. Just stay here, with whatever tonight holds, with the questions you can't answer and the feelings you can't name, and the strange, persistent hope underneath all of it that you almost don't let yourself feel because you're afraid it will let you down. Let yourself feel it anyway. Not as a promise, not as a plan, just as what it is. Something in you still believes this is going anywhere. Maybe that's enough to start with. Maybe that tonight is everything.